MILSPEC skins from cases are in a very weird situation right now, as well as the lowest tier skins from every collection that we basically have in the game. Today's video we will talk about this, and I will say where I see an opportunity maybe. And basically what we're gonna use here is the fever case, and yeah, we know the print stream, some nice knives, la la la. We go down and we see we have many 021 skins in here. Like the chopper, very nice M4, 021, 021, 021, 021. So basically all the blues have good floats. What does this mean? Basically, these are very good to trade up all the way up to factory new reds. Here everything is 021 as well. In the purples we don't have that, only the rising sun. Very interesting to look at in my opinion. When we look at prices, this kind of makes sense, right? A buck for 021 skin is not that bad, considering receiving factory new skins is quite hard. But let's look at other cases that are already discontinued. This is the gallery case, and here we see same pricing, maybe a little bit cheaper than from the reds inside of the other collection. When we scroll down, something weird occurs. All the 021 skins, especially play skins, are suddenly very expensive in factory new. Like the Cali Graffiti, the 27, like basically every 021 has a high price that you have to pay to own one of these. And this is not only in the gallery case, it gets worse and worse the older the collections get actually. A quick side note guys, I do have a Discord server and I would be very happy to see you all there talking about skins and what do you think about the markets in general, some nice crafts maybe, whatever it is. I'm trying to build a nice community there and everything there is free to join, so why not, and let's go to the video. Here I picked the Operation Breakout case. See the same thing, MILSPECs and 021 are way more expensive than all the other blues, even matching price with the purples from 021, which is insane in my opinion. Of course the Tigris is a little bit more expensive, but it's a purple and 021, so very hard to get. And you might ask yourself, why is it so easy for pump groups to manipulate these prices? Well, basically all cases that we have in the game that are not currently dropping are discontinued and never coming back as of now. Because we never know what Valve gonna do. And basically the only possible way for you to get these blues in factory new is by opening cases, which I don't recommend at all. So as more and more cases will be opened, the less supply will be coming in of these, making it very easy to manipulate for pump groups. And the supplies are not really high on these. Let's take the glove case for example, because I like this one a lot. A video that I talked about was the last video that suddenly got taken down by YouTube for some reason. Very sad. But basically here the outcomes are very important in factory new, because in order to trade up to factory new gloves you need very low float reds, and yeah, these can only be obtained by really finding some very low float pinks or using good float purples that are 021 right here. That can be traded up to by these skins. So the turf, the black sand and the ironwork, which are very expensive in factory new. And the reason why I make this video is basically here we have the factory new skins being kind of expensive, but it doesn't make sense to trade up to these because the prices of the blues are already expensive. But when we go at the turf, when we look at the prices and we go from factory new to minimal wear, we see the minimal wear price is actually very cheap. $1 is not expensive for the glove case at all, considering that if people would do trade ups correctly, these could turn into factory new purples from this collection, which are kind of expensive, and having an entry from $1 is, in my opinion, a good price. And now the question, well, if these are so expensive, why are the minimal wears not following? It's very simple to explain. When we go to float database and we check the minimal wear supply of the turf, in the good floats particularly that can be traded up with, we see 160,000 turfs. So that's basically if the market value is let's say €1.50, you get around $230,000 market cap on these. When we look at the factory news though, we see there is only 66,000 of these, which in my opinion is not a lot, considering that we've seen prices before they hit $20 being $2, where of course most of the manipulation probably started and people were buying these up, leading to some very cheap actually entries for pumps. Now of course paying $20 for these is kind of outrageous, but I think you get the point, right? I mean, people could use these to do trade ups with, but it wouldn't be smart at all because they're so expensive. And that's why I like to talk about these so much, because, well, the supply is not too big to have manipulated prices, which is very nice because these trade ups are actually nice to do. And I don't encourage to do these trade ups, because in the end of the day it's luck based, you could burn your hands with them. But in my opinion, these skins do have a nice entry. What's important to note additionally, not for every case you have the same like crazy differences in factory to minimum wear, because here I checked the Operation Hydra case, for example. When we go down, of course, these skins are way more expensive in factory new, you think. And that's what I thought as well. I mean, okay, this is an amazing opportunity. I mean, the Orbit MK01 is very expensive. And here we only have 0 to 1. Which is in factory the same price as in the glove collection, but when we look at the minimum wear prices, it's just a little bit less than half of the price, which is kinda insane. I mean, there is room to grow for sure in the glove collection, in my opinion. I mean, of course, the purples here are way more expensive, but percentage-wise, this wouldn't make more sense to do as a trade-up than, let's say, these right here, using the turf or the ironwork or the black sand. Like, you can get a skin worth 60 bucks, still 70 almost. But that's basically the market right now. Factory new blues are kind of expensive. And we have the same thing happening for other collections as well. Alright guys, let's come to the giveaway's winner. Big Dallas. I think it's about damn time they rotate the armory. Well, we are just about to receive a rotation, so we can be very happy with that. Congratulations on winning, brother. I will send you the skin. And as promised, you see Big Dallas is receiving his sticker. Congratulations, bro. I think the most obvious pump that we have seen was in the graphic design collection, and when we scroll down, of course these skins right here are not as desired and we don't really see high prices, even the AK Crossfade being 7 bucks, but we see that the Astrolab is actually 10 bucks right now, and on Steam I think it's selling for 20, which is ridiculous. And we see the other skins not reaching that at all. Of course this is a pump, but realistically this skin shouldn't be worth 10 bucks. But at the same time, its supply is really low. People could do pumps to pump these skins, and there is right now nothing that could back supply up at all, because collection is gone. Even easier to pump than in cases, because in cases you have still supply coming in, since these cases still exist. In collections, that's not the case. And historically, what we've seen mostly is that the industrial grades or consumer grade skins go up more than the high tier skins in these collections, because these are the foundation. And when you don't have a good foundation, you can't build a house. So the foundation has to be solid, and yeah, we see the foundation is solidifying quite harsh. And here it's not a good example, because the blues are not really expensive. Doesn't make sense to trade up to low float blues, because the low float blues are probably cheaper than the Astrolab. So this is, yeah, unproportionately, and this is not sustainable at all. I will just use the Havoc collection for this one, because here the floats are actually not as stupid as in other collections, because collections tend to have some weird floats. And we see the AK X-Ray being, yeah, 3.3k in factory new. Going down, we see prices starting to make sense. Like, this is not a good trade-up skin, that's why it's way cheaper than, let's say, the Phoenix Blacklight. And here we say the same thing. This is like, yeah, desired play skin, trade-up, kind of slightly more expensive than the X-Ray. This makes sense. This is sustainable. This is what we see for most collections in the game. But when we start to go down, we see the same thing happening again, right? When we see skins with good floats, for example, like the Phoenix Chalk, it's unproportionately expensive to do trade-ups to the industrial grades. Like, these are very expensive. This is the best float, like the highest float range, considering, yeah, this is maybe the best factory to get, but it's also very rare. Like, the best consumer grade skins in collections tend to do very well in the future. And when we check collections that we have in the current rotation right now about to be discontinued, this will lead us to the train collection, right? You can still obtain them, but the time is on the line. You don't really have much time left. What do we see here? Same thing. It actually makes sense. Of course, whiteout is very expensive in factory new. That's why we see inflated prices when we go further down. And what I like to see here is that we actually have 2021 industrial grades, meaning that you can't trade up to them. The supply is not really high, and the prices look kind of attractive. No investment advice. We need very low float green lines and late night transits, and even lower floats, FAMASs and XMs, to be able to trade up to the Tech 9 whiteout, because this is the hardest, yeah, float to actually trade up to in factory new in the game, which is insane. That's why we also see such high prices, even though this is, yeah, still in rotation. Here the same logic applies for me. Buying the foundation. If the collection doesn't have a foundation, there is no nothing that can rise from here. And if you want to manipulate a collection like this, I think starting with these skins down here is mostly what you want to see, because if you just straight up pump the long dog, people will basically trade their way up to them and then pushing prices down. So it wouldn't be too effective to do, and the supply on these is way too high to actually make sense to pump the long dog. I mean, this could happen, but in my opinion wouldn't make too much sense because it takes too much capital to do so as well, considering that there will be supply coming in from trade ups. And since we have received a discontinuation announcement, we actually say the same thing happening right here, like prices spike. And when we look at minimal wear prices again, these are kind of cheap. Like, you can get them for cheap prices. When you do buy orders, I think it's not too crazy to think that you will get some very nice low float orcs that you could actually use in trade ups, probably to receive a late night transit and factory, which probably won't have the float you need to trade out to the Tech 9, but in order to get the factory new green line, if this is enough, this is enough. So I mean, 20 cents is very cheap in my opinion, like 30 cents maybe, because this is like one listing here. I think you know what I'm talking about. I think you get the point. Of course, everything I say in here is no investment advice. Please, YouTube, don't strike my videos. I'm a good boy. I want to provide some value for my viewers. And yeah, guys, if you like this video, please don't hesitate to comment something or your opinions about this, and see you in the next one. Peace.